Welcome back to another edition of the B&H Virtual Event Space. Happy to welcome back Jon Miller and the Hive gang. Jon, what's happening? How are you today?
Hey, Scott, how are you doing? Thanks for having us back. We're really excited to be here. We are trying something new today. We're going to do a genuine live event over Zoom. So we're excited, but we'll also ask for everyone's patience because I'm sure something will go sideways before we expect it.
Listen, things happen, but we're here for it. We're super excited. For those of you joining us, if you're not aware, like Jon said, they're doing a little bit of a different setup. Today, we're coming to you live, and we're going to be going over how to light portraiture using the presets available with Hive's Omni-Color LEDs. So if you have any questions about that, how it works, or anything like that, I'm sure Jon is going to cover it pretty well in detail. But if he misses something, if there's something you don't understand, please feel free to drop a question in, whether you're in the Zoom chat, Q&A tab. That's how you can ask any questions. If you're joining us on Facebook or Vimeo, you can go ahead and use the comment section. But otherwise, thank you very much to Jon and everybody over at Hive for sponsoring the event. And I'll hand the reins over to you. Like you said, Jon, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to let you do all the talking.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much, man. So thank you everyone for joining. We're really excited to be back here at the B&H event space. And if you're not familiar, I'd just like to do a little bit of an introduction. So we're here from Hive Lighting. My name is Jon Miller. I'm the Chief Product Officer, and I'm here with Josh, Rollin, and Ajer. And they're going to be helping us demonstrate some of the portrait work you can do with Hive lights. So we're going to keep it relatively simple. We're going to have a one light setup with the bounce card. But what we really want to go through is some of our cosmetic presets. Before we get into our cosmetic presets, I do want to go ahead and just give you a bit of a background on our company, our products, and the technology behind what we're doing. So if you're not familiar, Hive Lighting is an American manufacturer of lighting for film, television, and photography. And our primary focus is a technology called Omni-Color LEDs. And if you're not familiar with Omni-Color LEDs, the reason we call them that is they allow for direct input of multiple different LED colors that can be blended together to create both white light and every form of saturated light you might desire. So we'll just bring up the website and bear with us. We're going to get better at this as this goes on, but we're going to bring up our website. And our Omni-Color technology is based on using 7 different spectrums of LED. So if we scroll down just a little bit, you can see here on the screen, we use 7 different chips. We use a RGB that you might be familiar with, but to expand out the spectrum from just that red, green, and blue and to cover the full visible spectrum, we also use cyan, we also use lime, an amber chip, and then what we call a sapphire. And basically that allows you to get all the way from deep reds just on the edge of infrared, all the way up to deep blues just on the edge of UV. And that allows not only a very full spectrum light, but it also allows a really controllable light. So we're able to make a huge amount of different presets. And the presets that we're going to go over are ones that are designed specifically for cosmetic lighting or for portraiture. So if we can actually bring up the cosmetic presets. So give us a second while things load. We're going to be pushing the Wi-Fi to the limit here. So as you can see on this page, what we've done is we've built a series of presets. And they allow for us to make really beautiful different effects on different portraits. And obviously, we've been lucky enough to bring back Ajer, who is both on the website. So if you want to follow along, you can see some of the images that were made with these presets before, but we'll be doing it here live as well. So why don't we bring up the live view from the camera? Yeah, and while we're getting set up right now, forgive me, my eye line is going to go all over the place. We've got multiple monitors, multiple screens, multiple cameras. So it's a little wild. We'll be able to demonstrate some pretty cool things. So what we've got set up right now is a relatively simple lighting setup. We've got a 575C, which is one of our Omni-Color LEDs. It's in our beauty dish, which is a great modifier. It's traditionally used for still photography with flash heads, but because of the design of all of our fixtures, which are able to use pro photo modifiers and most still modifiers from a wide variety of manufacturers, we're able to use it with our continuous light source, which really gives us an advantage because we're able to look at what we're doing while we're lighting. And then as a return, we've got a standard foam bounce card just underneath to kind of fill on the face a little bit. Sorry, I knocked the mic there. Okay, so with that being said, the way we like to control our lights is with our app controls. So it's going to be a little bit hard to see. We have a fully controlled loaded with the custom presets. And so why don't we take a, I'm going to keep hitting the mic. So we're going to go with this preset. So this is what we call Cool Amber, and this is the first preset we're going to be talking about. And you'll hear in the names two different things. So there's Cool, that's going to be our undertone of white light color, and then Amber, which is going to be our overtone of saturated color. And the way we look at this is something a little bit like you might think of makeup foundation. We're really looking at skin tone. And when we think about skin tone, we want to think about it sort of on a two-part axis. One is, how warm or cool we want it to look, and then what direction we want to go based on the skin tone of the subject to either balance that out or accentuate something that we like. So why don't we go through the cools, kind of see what that looks like. So this is Cool Amber. This is Cool Bronze. This is Cool Rose. And this is Cool Violet. And can we take a still of one of these? Yeah. And then I'm going to go back to Cool Amber. Let's take a still of that. Cool. Great. So we're going to bring up Capture One to kind of show you these two frames. And so these are kind of the extremes on the saturation, the overtone of color. So on one, you've got violet. And so what you'll see there is it's going to do a difference. It's going to see it highlights different things as well. And so what you'll notice is you're going to see shifts in more saturated colors. So when you look at, for example, Audrey's hair, you're going to really see the difference in color of that pink when it's lit with that more saturated violet versus that more saturated amber. You're also going to see in certain aspects of her skin, things like her freckles are going to pop out on certain settings versus other ones. And you're just going to see generally, because of her specific complexion, there's going to be a difference. Now, what the right choice is for any particular skin tone is really up to you as the creative, but it gives you options, and there are options that are presets. What's also nice is, can we go back to live? So if we go from sort of the cool violet to that cool amber, we kind of look at what that does. It sort of warms up the skin tone. But if we want to then also go into the controls on the app, we can start to pull away some of the saturation, some of the effect we wanted. So we can either change the base underneath by warming it or cooling it, or we can pull away some of the saturation of that overtone, or we can add it to make it a stronger overtone. So there's really a lot of flexibility when you are using these different cosmetic presets. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the corrected. Okay, so the other thing we wanted to demonstrate is not only the difference between the different undertones that you see, the overtones that you see with the saturated colors, but also the undertones. So this is cool amber, but we also have a neutral amber, and then we also have a warm amber. So obviously you can see those are going to be significantly different. But one of the things that you also have to remember is that you can change, some of these are designed to be used with different presets on your camera. So right now, Ron, what's our camera set to?
We're at 4,000.
All right, so we're set at 4,000 white light color temperature. So if you're thinking about color temperature, 4,000 is going to put you pretty close to the middle. And whether you're going all the way to that warmer tungsten or something that's more daylight based or something more extreme, those are all things that you can do with our lights. But based on how you set the white light on your camera, it may make more sense to use either a cool, a neutral, or warm, or you may want to counter the setting on your camera to get a more dramatic effect. And so that's how we kind of think of when we go from the cool to neutral to warm. So again, this is warm amber, this is neutral amber, and this is cool amber. And then to kind of show you how that will work, so let's actually set the camera to 3200. This is more of a standard tungsten setting. Now let's go back to warm amber. And as you can see, it's going to be less of a dramatic look. But we can then also cycle through to our warm bronze, our warm rose, our warm violet. And are we a little soft on her, or is that?
I think that's just
the, yeah. Sorry about that. The fun of doing this live. So along those lines, you can kind of see that, when you set it to 3200, warm rose might be a really nice effect. But if we can go up to 5600. And go to cool rose, they're not exactly identical because there is things going on with the lighting where it's not just a matter of changing the white balance. So some of what each of these cosmetic effects, you might think, oh, well, I should just always use cool with daylight and warm with tungsten settings on my camera. But actually you can really mix and match because there are slight differences to them. And so there is a use for the warm amber on the 5600. There's also a use for the cool amber on the 3200. So just to give you kind of a sense of all of the different settings that are available, I'm going to go through and we can see on Azure Live the changes as we go through all the cosmetic presets. So I'm going to start with Cool Amber, where we started originally. And can we get the camera to 4000 again? Kind of give it as neutral as possible. So there we go. We got Cool Amber. This is Cool Bronze. This is Cool Rose. This is Cool Violet. This is Neutral Amber. This is Neutral Bronze. This is Neutral Rose. This is Neutral Violet. This is Warm Amber. This is Warm Bronze. This is Warm Rose. And this is Warm Violet. So Josh, can we actually bring up the sliders again from the cosmetic preset? So I like to use when I'm doing these classes, our website as much as possible. And the reason for that is if you're following along and you missed something or you forgot something or you wanted to try it out yourself, you can always go back after this video and go to our website, look for all the different things that we mentioned and play with it yourself. And one of the tools that we built that we really hope is helpful to you is actually our presets comparison tool, which is on our cosmetic presets section of our website under inspiration. So yeah, you can see that there. So one of the things that we can do is allow you to compare these. Obviously it's one thing to see it like we did live, but it's another thing to actually be able to compare them side by side. So you can see here with Cool Amber versus Warm Amber, for example. You really see this sort of contrasting difference and how that's going to affect things like Azure's skin tone and Azure's hair color. And then the other thing we have on this is some presets that involve other skin tones. So if we scroll down, you can see we have some models of different ethnicity, different age, and they have, obviously very different comparative skin tones, but you can see that the cosmetic presets has benefits and advantages for each of them, as well as obviously differences when they're used. And really the goal here is the idea that with this light, you can really create a cosmetic effect for a portrait, for an interview, really in any context where you're lighting skin tone that really gives you the maximum benefit of that individual look. So there's no right or wrong combination for any individual. It's really about getting the most out of your light and getting the most out of your subject. And you can even compare skin tones. So if we go back up to the top, and why don't we use Cardell? So, and then let's put them both on Cool Violet. Great. Yeah. So as you scroll back and forth between the two,
I think
as you can see, there are similar.
I think we're losing you
from where I can't see. Scott, do you have any questions?
No, I think we're just losing you. You're popping in and out a little bit. Sorry.
Okay.
But I think we're back. I think we're back.
Okay. Do we have was there a time when you lost us?
No, you were cutting out a little bit just right before this. So if you want to just kick back from the start of it, but maybe
okay.
30 seconds.
So just in case it was cutting out, why don't we start again? And just really quickly, if you guys missed this, on our cosmetic preset tool on our website, when you're doing the comparisons, you have the ability to not only compare, let's bring Azure up on both sides again. You have the ability to compare the same model using the same cosmetic preset or different ones. And then you have the ability to switch to a different model, obviously with a different skin tone, and compare those differences. And as I was saying, what we're really looking for with these is not necessarily that there's a right cosmetic preset for the right type of skin tone or the right individual, but really the idea that you're able to accentuate the individuality of any of your subjects based on the combination of these different presets. And you can scroll down again just in case that was lost. You can see on the right-hand side, you're going to see the color of the light source itself in the beauty dish, just like we're using behind. And on the left, you'll see different examples of different skin tones under that same cosmetic preset. Okay, so since we're doing a bit of explanation of kind of how this works, not just with the cosmetic preset, let's choose a single cosmetic preset for, let's go back live to show Azure. Okay, and I think I'm going to go with neutral rose, which I think is a relatively pleasing, pretty good look, especially for Azure's tone and hair. And one of the things that I'd like to show actually is kind of the basis of how this is built. We can actually just swing the bounce card really quickly, Ron. So the way we kind of make this specific look, since we're talking about lighting for portraits, this is a really classic one, is we have our single source. Oh, there you go. We have our single source 575C. It is set to our cosmetic preset, and it's got the beauty dish. And you can kind of see what look that creates just as a single light right now. Obviously, it's still very even, it's full, but you do have some distinct shadow, especially under the chin, especially under the nose. Now, that can be a really nice look, but we're going for something like a little bit more classic, a little bit more headshot. And so when you bring in the bounce card, obviously that brings it right back up. But what's nice about this is with the single light, you are going to get the same source and color. You're going to get an even feel, and it's going to give that consistency and continuity to the look. So yeah, that is a basic setup that we've explained with our cosmetic presets. Scott, any questions?
Sorry about that, John. Yeah, I did want to kind of pop in and ask, obviously with an LED like this, you've already got all the presets in there, and maybe you can kind of talk through and explain to people why go with something that's already got the presets in. How does it compare to sort of that old school style, if you will, the prior to having that ability of using gels and stuff like that on an actual light and having to set that up?
Yeah, so the presets are kind of a gel 2.0 in our kind of thinking. So in case you're not familiar or you haven't worked that much with hot lamps before, one of the traditional ways to change color was obviously to use a gel filtration in front of the lamp. Those came in hundreds of options from a variety of different manufacturers. Now, on one level, the cosmetic preset is similar in that it is our interpretation of a modification to a light source to get the best possible skin tone on a subject. But where the difference really comes in is that we've designed it internally to the lamp itself, which means that you have all of these gels, if you will, at your fingertips. You can just pull them up on your phone. You don't need to actually physically do the work. And secondly, as I explained a little earlier, they're modifiable. So you're able to not only take our preset, but you're able to just do the finest tune adjustments to your specific subject. And so we really find that that gives you just a whole nother level of control. But on the brass tacks level, it's going to cost you less money and it's a lot faster. And that's going to make a huge difference in your workflow. So compared to working with even strobes, yes, they're going to be cool and low power, But unlike with a continuous light, you're not gonna be able to see what you're doing while you're doing it, which is a huge benefit of being able to work with continuous light for your photography or your portraiture. And then two, the modifiable nature of gels is very limited. You can kind of stack a couple of them together, but it's very hard to dial in very specifically something for your subject like you can with ease with an app on your phone. So I think that's probably one of the big benefits. The other thing actually, Scott, that I wanted to mention is that while we've been using just one of our lights, the 575C, these presets are available across our entire product line. So all of our lights from our smallest, our 25C, all the way up to the 575C, they're all going to be able to be used with these presets. So you don't necessarily need to use a big light or a small light to get these kind of effects. You can work with any of the lights in our product line. They're all controllable by our app, and they're all going to give you this kind of color quality.
Awesome. Super cool. I want to follow that up because I think the follow up to that and that's a perfect answer. I think that simplifies it for everybody. But I know the question always gets asked, and this is something that, you know, when I worked in the store, I heard it a lot, and I'm sure you've heard it a lot, and you're probably going to hate me for asking the question because you probably are sick and tired of it. But people want to know still, so we've got to ask it. You know, when you're comparing in terms of gels, I think the comparison always gets, and the parallels always drawn, Roscoe and Lee. Those are kind of like the two big manufacturers of gels, and that was kind of an industry sort of like the respected brands. How did the presets and those compare in terms of those filters that you would normally see in the industry?
Sure. So on one level, they don't compare, is the actual answer. On another level, they're very similar. So I think that the advantage of things like the Roscoe and the Lee gels is that obviously they have had an established track record. But one of the things that people don't necessarily realize is that those gels are specifically designed for a single color temperature source. So if you put them in front of a source that, let's say you have a bicolor LED, you're not actually getting the quote unquote design spectrum out of them. And you're not necessarily, and they're also very much designed for a full spectrum source like an incandescent bulb or like daylight. And so when you're using them with other LEDs, they're not really performing the way they were designed. That doesn't necessarily mean they don't work, but they don't necessarily work the way they were designed. These presets are very much designed for the source in mind, working with our LEDs. The other thing is, while there's some great gels out there historically, you don't necessarily want to have a massive collection of gels to get the look you want. And also Cosmetic Peach or whatever preset, you know, beauty filter gel that might be out there that you select isn't necessarily going to work on all your subjects. And if you've already made the purchase and decided that that's going to be the look you're going for, you put it up in front of your light and you look at who you're taking the portrait of and it doesn't look good, you're stuck. And so what really the advantage here is the ability to modify any of, you know, I might think that this is a great look for this portrait with Azure, but a different photographer might think it's boring, might not think it looks good, might hate it. The ability to modify that quickly on the fly, not only using our presets, but then also modifying our presets is just a next level of control that you can't get with a gel.
Awesome. Awesome.
The corrective sources like the plus green.
Yeah.
That would be a more wonderful.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's a good point. So Roland brings up that with the corrective sources. So we use sort of the cosmetic to mean ones more for skin tone. There's sort of classic CTB, CTO, and if you're not familiar with that, it's color temperature orange, color temperature blue, which really talk about moving the white point from warmer to cooler on your light source. That's something that also is really built into our sliders and built into the lamps. And we do actually have preset corrective filters such as CTS, which is a straw filter, and plus and minus green that are available in the apps because they are so specific that replicating them, while it's totally possible to do yourself, is easier if we have it set as a preset for you.
You can show.
Sure. Actually, to that point, we have the technology. So this is not going to be necessarily aesthetically pleasing, but this is a full plus green filter if it was being used with a tungsten lamp. And then sort of on the other extreme here's a full plus magenta if you are going to be using it with daylight. So many of the gels are in fact in here, but we'll go back to something a little bit more pleasing. I hope. There we go.
Sweet. Now you did mention kind of that you have the beauty dish, and obviously there's reflectors. Maybe you could talk a little bit about just modifiers in general, attachments, what kind of interface they work with. I know most people are always concerned, I've been shooting since the 80s. I have a Bowens mount because that's like the most popular mount ever. Maybe you can kind of address that and talk about how interactive that is in terms of being able to use stuff that people priorly have, or maybe have to upgrade and get new stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can't see it actually on the camera right now, but not only do we have a Profoto mount beauty dish on lighting Azure, lighting me, right now we have a Chimera softbox. And so all of our lights are really designed to be as modifiable and connectable with third-party manufacturers as possible. And actually, Josh, can we bring up the website? And we'll kind of show a little bit of this. But why don't we go to, yeah, why don't we go actually to the inspiration Hive is portion. See, Scott, you're throwing us off. Now we got to like do, open new tabs.
Sorry. I apologize.
It's an important question. And thank you. Yeah. So we do work with both traditional film and television modifiers like Fresnels and parabolic reflectors and profile spots. But on top of that, we also work with a huge number of different soft boxes from a wide variety of manufacturers. So if we scroll down, is the chart there or? Okay, no worries. But we can show kind of how it modifies here. So as you can see, the light itself is a Profoto mount. However, it also has the ability to be modified to Bowens, Ellen Chrome, Broncolor, as well as products from ETC. And then we have our own Profoto mount modifiers such as our Fresnel, our Lico, and then we can show like the Paradome, so soft boxes as well. So there's a huge number of different modifiers that are available.
Awesome. That's what I got for questions, John.
That's it, Scott?
That's it.
All right. Is there anything else? Any suggestions from the group? I don't know.
Show some crazy colors.
Yeah. So while we have you guys, let's play with the light a little bit and play with the presets. Yeah, and take some pictures because that's always fun. While we're doing that, if anyone has any questions that comes to mind, or you have color requests, anything you'd like to see, we're here for you guys.
There you go. Drop them below.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that we do beyond just our cosmetics is we do have a set of what we call our natural presets. And our natural presets are light sources occurring in nature. And then we have another set, which is our artificial. With our naturally occurring ones, we have some classics, kind of a moonlight look, for example. So this is actually one of my favorites. I think this is a really nice looking artificial moonlight. But then we have things like sunrise, more classic daylight, golden hour, also twilight. I think this is a good looking one. We're frozen for a sec, but bear with us. There you go. Twilight, really nice look. And then we have some more extreme ones. We do a candlelight, and we also do some underwater looks. So this is kind of an underwater look, and this is the second one. Yeah. Then in terms of our artificial, we have fun things like glow sticks. So you're gonna get fully saturated in a second. Oops, there you go. So we got our violet glow stick. And then we have some of my favorite ones, which is we have our noble gases. So we have helium, neon, neon, yeah, argon, and krypton. All right.
Krypton is always my favorite, John. Talking, now that you're demoing the colors, a question that I think pops up is, Do you have the ability to kind of select and dial in on what color? Obviously you're going through the presets right now, and those are preloaded, templates that make it just easier so that you don't have to fumble around. But say somebody's really looking to dial in and really get into the nitty-gritty. Is that an available option where you can go in and maybe either via color wheel or just even an actual number input, put in that kind of temperature that you're looking to achieve?
Absolutely. So we literally have a color wheel, if that is something you are looking for. So we can do some of that, and we'll go live to kind of show you that. Yeah. So you can dial in some pretty nice different saturated colors. But to your point of being able to really dial in something a bit more specific, we also have things like RGB control. So you can use RGB sliders, a bit more like a lighting board, like you would if you were doing it through DMX controls, which is a theatrical lighting board control system. That can be done live and almost instantaneously, just with the app itself. So you can really dial in kind of and modify whether you want it to go a little bit bluer, or you want to bring up that red saturation, or make it a bit more neutral. That's all possible, or even go a little green, if that's what you're looking for. So we have a variety of different ways to do that. Actually, we have both HSI sliders, and some of those also have just the ability to do some very fast saturation sort of tint control. So for example, you want to dial in something that's a bit more of a classic neutral white, but you want to add a little, you want to do a little bit of a minus green on that, or a plus green, depending on what your correction is. We have sliders for that. We also have the full RGB sliders as well. And then obviously the color wheel for sort of big, bold changes. Like that. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of different options on the light. And that's really one of the things we really try to emphasize with the Omni-Color LEDs is not only do we have the ability to create a really high quality light, we have the ability to really fine tune it and control it for the images that you're trying to create. So yeah, if you want to actually cycle through some of the images we just kind of produced all in the last few minutes, you can see you can get quite a bit of work done very quickly with this workflow. Some of them better than others. Yeah. And then I think we're underwater there. Now we're going through some of those twilight and moonlight and yeah. Mm-hmm. Any color requests, Scott? Do you have one that you specifically love?
I love all colors. You'll be happy to know that actually pink is my favorite color, John. I'll let you in on the whole secret. I'm a fan of pink. It's
nice.
A cool color.
All right,
we love
pink as well.
It accentuates my wonderful blemish-free skin tone. So, but
I'll leave that be.
You mentioned something before, and you talked about DMX lighting. So for those who are interested, can you utilize these lights in the DMX environment? Are they able to be used like that?
Yeah, so we have the ability to control our lights through a variety of different control systems. The primary one we're demonstrating here is obviously through app control, but there is also local control on all of our C series. So you'll be able to dial in with knobs and buttons exactly what you want the light settings to be. Beyond that, we do have controls. We have 5-pin XLR inputs that allow you to use what are called DMX controls, which is a standard theatrical lighting language that allows you to use a lighting board. So any DMX controller can work. No additions necessary with our lights. And then our C series lights also have what's called CRMX, or wireless DMX, which is a radio transmission system that allows you to, over long distances, send signals from a DMX board without actually running wires. And that's something that all of our lights in our C series come with standard.
Excellent. And because we have you here, and the people should know, maybe you can kind of just break down the difference in the series of lights between the C series and all the rest of them, and just maybe explain what are kind of the key differences between them.
Sure, sure. So we have two different kinds of lights in our Omni-Color LED offerings. One is the C series, and the other is the CX. And I think we're going to try and bring up some demonstrations of this, but the basic difference between them is control options. So the CX is a less expensive model that is designed to be used primarily with the phone or through a DMX lighting board. And that has no local controls, and it also doesn't have the wireless DMX. The advantage of that is going to be weight. It's a little bit smaller, and it's going to cost the customer less. So it's a great option if you're looking for a less expensive path into this technology. And as long as you're comfortable using your phone or you're comfortable using lighting boards, it can be a great option. So if you're on the run, you like a smaller kit, you're very comfortable using either an iPad, iPhone, Android tablet, or Android phone, then that can be a great option for you. Also, if you're setting up, let's say, a lot of lights and you know you're going to be running them through a DMX system, it's a great way to make savings over sort of, if you're using dozens of lights. CX system is a great option for that. In our C series, it's really about having as much control options as possible. So built into it is going to be CRMX, which is a wireless DMX system, and the receivers for those are relatively expensive. So actually having them built into your light is a great value. And then you also have the ability to do local controls. So if you're, a traditionalist and you don't want to use your phone to run a light, you want to be able to go up to the fixture, get your hands on it, and change the settings right away. The C series gives you a great option there as well.
Very cool. Now I've got to do this to you. I've got to ask it because if you don't notice, John and I have a great relationship. John and I, we go way back. We've known each other. What is it, John? Like, I don't know. It seems like an eternity. Probably at least
Too long.
Too long. Too long.
Three or four pandemics ago. Yeah.
Exactly. and so I remember when we first kind of started working together. That was when I was still working in the store, and we brought in the plasma light, and I recall that distinctly. Why is, obviously it's a special need, and that could be the easy answer, but why the shift away, so to speak, from the plasma light a little bit, and now more towards these C series, the CX series?
Yeah, well, thank you for reminding me that we've been doing this for a long time. So so actually Hive turned
we're old, John, I know.
Hive is actually 10 years old. So we have been making lights for a long time, and we actually started the company really around the idea that we wanted to make shapeable, cuttable, high intensity light that was energy efficient and had excellent color quality. And the first technology we started with was plasma. And plasma lighting has some great advantages. It's completely flicker free. It has really, really beautiful full spectrum light, but it is limited to just daylight. And so really the shift to Omni-Color was about this kind of color control that you're seeing here. We wanted to be able to create a full spectrum source, high quality source, and a modifiable source. And that's what initially prevented us from getting into LEDs at first. But once we were able to develop the Omni-Color LED technology, be able to give you the kind of color control that you see here, while also making really high quality flicker free white light, that really is what motivated us to add that to our product line and do such a big push on it. And so plasma lighting still has a special place both in our heart and in our product offerings. And we do use it quite a bit for high speed lighting, especially sort of technical lighting. So we have a lot of sort of more technical customers. And when I say that, they're still using cameras, but they're using it more for either engineering problems. We actually have a number of lights with NASA for some projects there that I can't tell you more about.
You can tell me, but then you have to kill me, right?
Well, I mean, it's NASA, so they're nicer. They're just gonna be very disappointed.
Okay.
The military ones, that's the ones you have to be worried about. But we really embraced the Omni-Color LED technology because it fulfilled the principles that we started the company around in the first place, which was super high color quality, the ability to modify the light source, shape it, cut it, project it, and an energy efficient source that was going to be sustainable long-term for both the technology, the customer, and for the world.
Awesome. And so I think a good way to kind of wrap everything up is maybe you can tell people where can they, well, this is a shameless plug, but where can they buy Hive, but also a shameless plug for yourselves also, where can they keep up on what Hive's working on and what they're producing, what they're going to put out next, and just, keep in touch.
Yeah. So in case to guarantee that this is live, the Duvetine we have taped over a window that you can't see just fell down because our productions are just like everyone else's. So that is a good sign that we should wrap it up. Thank you, Scott. But for the shameless plug purposes, obviously we are on B&H. We have a B&H storefront on the website, so please go check it out. It's full of really fast, great links to get you where you want to go to get the lights that you need. And then, of course, you can visit our website as well. That's hivelighting.com. It's going to have everything that you saw that we shared during this talk is going to be available there. And then you follow us on social media at Hive Lighting, both on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, I want to give a huge thanks to Jon, along with the rest of the Hive crew over there. Thank you guys so much. I know you guys, nobody else knows this, but I'm gonna blow up your spots. They had some technical difficulties prior to this, and so they ran and squeezed into a new space so that they could make sure that they kept on this timeline and they were still able to deliver a wonderful presentation. So thank you guys for being able to do that and being flexible and making sure that we didn't have to disappoint anybody. We really appreciate that. But as well, everybody at home, we want to thank you for joining us as well. This has been another edition in the books here of the B&H Virtual Event Space. We'll catch you next time.